Hey guys, today we are going to continue working on using adjectives in our writing and in our speaking. So, our goal for today is I can identify adjectives that compare by using ER, IER, and more. And also, we're going to be looking at using comparative adjectives correctly in our speaking and our writing. So, we know that adjectives are words that describe a noun. They tell you more about the noun. And what we're going to be working on today is comparing two nouns with adjectives by adding ER, IER, or adding the word more before the adjectives. So when we are comparing adjectives, we're looking at how they're similar, how they're different, and we're going to be using those adjectives to describe them. First, I want to watch the Brain Pop video.
On your mark, get set, go! You're a fast hopper, Moby. You're a faster hopper than I am. You're the fastest hopper in the whole school. How can you use adjectives to compare? Remember, a noun is a person, animal, place, thing, or idea. An adjective is a word that describes a noun. Adjectives can tell how something looks, sounds, feels, tastes, or smells. Moby juggles shiny red balls. The adjectives shiny and red describe the balls. A suffix is a letter or group of letters added to the end of a word to change it. A suffix can change the meaning of a word. When you use an adjective to compare two things, you add the suffix er. Becca hula hoops longer than Moby. You start with the adjective long, and you add the suffix er to make a comparison. Moby is taller than Tasha. Tasha is shorter than Moby. When you compare more than two things, you add the suffix est. Moby throws the fastest. We're comparing Moby with other kids. So you start with the adjective fast, and you add the suffix est. Moby cheers the loudest. Moby jumps the highest. There are some words you need to spell a little differently when you add a suffix. What are some rules for adding a suffix to an adjective? When you're using an adjective to compare and the word ends in a silent E, you just add R or ST. This ball is large. This ball is larger. This ball is the largest. Since the word large ends in a silent E, all you have to do is add an R or ST. This cat is cute. The kitten is cuter. But this kitten is the cutest. When an adjective ends in a consonant, you should double the consonant before adding the suffix. I'm all wet. The word wet ends in a consonant, so you have to double the consonant and then add the suffix. Becca is wetter than I am. Moby is the wettest of all. The word hot ends in a consonant too. That means you have to double the consonant to add a suffix. Hotter and hottest. When an adjective ends in a Y, you first drop the Y and then add IER or IEST. Moby's hat is silly. The word silly ends in the letter Y. To add a suffix, you drop the Y and add IER or IEST. Moby's hat is sillier than Becca's hat. Moby's hat is the silliest one in school. The word dirty ends in a Y. That means you have to drop the Y to add a suffix. Dirtier and dirtiest. When you write, remember to proofread or check over your work to correct any mistakes. Oops, I spot a mistake. I spelled the word funniest wrong. I can think of some adjectives that don't have suffixes when you use them to compare. What adjectives do not use suffixes? Tug of war is the difficultest game. You're right, Moby. When you use a long adjective to make a comparison, you do not need to add a suffix. Instead, you can use the word less, least, more, or most. Tug of war is the most difficult game. The egg race is more exciting than the ring toss. The ring toss is the least popular game. Moby, you're good at this. You're gooder at the ring toss than I am. You're better at the ring toss than I am. When you use the word good to compare, you don't add a suffix. You use the words better or best. Moby is the best ring tosser in the whole school. When you use the word bad to compare, you use the words worse or worst. I keep missing. I'm worse at the ring toss than the egg race. I'm the worst at this game. Thanks, Moby. That's a lot easier.
Okay, so the video gave us quite a bit more information about comparing adjectives, and we're going to be looking at comparing more than two adjectives later in the week. But for today, we're just looking at comparing two adjectives or two nouns. So for most nouns that have one syllable, we're going to add er at the end. So cold becomes colder. Tall becomes taller. Smart becomes smarter. So if I'm comparing two students, he is smarter than the other student. Fast becomes faster. She is faster than her friend. Now, adjectives that have two syllables and end in Y, we replace the Y with an I and add ER. So, for example, the flower is fuzzy. We're going to take the Y off and add IER. Funny becomes funnier. We take the Y off of funny and add IER. Pretty becomes prettier. We're going to take the Y off and add IER. Now, for words that have more than two syllables and they don't end in Y, we're going to add the word more before the adjective. So, amazing has three syllables, amazing. And so we're not going to say amazinger, we're going to say more amazing. The word important is more than two syllables. So again, we're going to say more important rather than adding the ER at the end of the word. So let's look at a couple of examples with sentences. The white kitten is more cute or cuter than the orange one. You should have said cuter. Cute is a one syllable word, so we're just going to add the ER. That BMX rider's stunts are amazinger or more amazing than I have ever seen before. You should have said more amazing because amazing has 3 syllables. We're going to add the more before. The shark lives in deeper or more deep water than the crab. You should have said deeper. My base word is deep, which is 1 syllable, so we're going to say deeper. The joke is funnier or more funny than the last one. You should have said funnier. Funny ends in the letter Y, so we're going to have to add IER. Driving safely is importanter or more important than driving fast. You should have said more important because important has more than 2 syllables, so we're going to add the more before rather than adding the ER at the end. So looking at this couple paragraphs called Trading Rooms, we're going to be focusing on sentence 3. My older brother Nathan sleeps late on the weekends. He didn't like his room because it was too bright in the morning. My room was dark than his, so I agreed to trade with him. Yesterday, we moved all our things to our new rooms. Mom helped us move my dresser, which was the more heavy of all the furniture. Nathan and I did the rest of the work. My new room is sunnier than my old one, and I love it. So, looking at sentence 3, what change should be made to sentence 3? My room was dark than his, so I agreed to trade with him. Should we change dark to darker? My room was darker than his, so I agreed to trade with him. B, should we change dark to darkest? My room was darkest than his, so I agreed to trade with him. C, should we trade dark to more dark? My room was more dark than his, so I agreed to trade with him. Or D, make no change at all. You should have said A, change dark to darker. The word describing his room is dark, and dark has 1 syllable, so we're going to add the ER. My room was darker than his, so I agreed to trade with him. So, looking back at our goal, I can identify adjectives that compare by adding ER and IER and more, and then I can use comparative adjectives correctly in speaking and writing. So, as you are working on writing, as you're reading, maybe look for those adjectives that are comparing two things and identify them in your reading and add them into your writing to make sure that you are being more descriptive in your writing.